Hi, so my name is Manahil Murad and I'm 23 years old and I'm currently pursuing a psychology degree at IBA. As far as my educational background goes, I've done my O levels from next year and my A levels from Lyceum, both with a business major, as well as having psychology in my A levels as an elective. As far as my venture goes, I basically run an online clothing business that goes by the name of FEASIBILITY Manahil and Hareem. And what we do is we basically sell Western clothing on a strictly online platform. Now, the reason I was so attracted to entrepreneurship and why it interested me is the fact that as a full-time student, the feasibility of having the flexibility of being able to choose your working hours was something that really attracted me. And apart from that, being able to just make your own decisions, having full control over what you do, how you do it, when you do it, and basically making changes if need be to the entire strategy as well is also something that has always attracted me and the reason why it also interested me the most. Now, some of the critical lessons that I have learned throughout running this business throughout the period is the fact that is that of the importance of market research. So basically, doing a lot of research and keeping up with trends and knowing what the customer wants, when they want it, and how they want it is like a key part and essential part of running a business, especially one that is such personalized, such as like clothing in my case. So basically, doing a lot of market research, keeping up with trends, and marketing the product really well is some of the critical lessons that I have learned. And also customer satisfaction, being able to keep contact with your customer and being able to maintain good relations, not just like once you deliver the product you're done and dusted. No, if they have a concern, you like cater to that concern very respectfully, and that's how you build a good name initially. My educational background was helpful because that's where I learned the basics from, like knowing how to break even and knowing how to sell a product, market a product, and like even as far as psychology goes, knowing consumer psychology and the importance of customer satisfaction rate is something that's very important and something that you learn from the very primary basics. I feel like so yeah, my educational background in business has helped. It is. I also feel it's important to know about sales and marketing because even if you have like a good product and your product is of like very high quality, until and unless you know how to market it well and to target the right people and to make enough sales to be able to profit off of it, you will not do well or your business will not succeed. So I do feel like having some sort of experience in sales and marketing is very important. Now, I chose being an entrepreneur over being an employee primarily because the creative skills I feel like I possessed have no outlet in a country like Pakistan. Because the brands that operate here that sell Western clothing basically provide imported clothing and they do not provide customizations to existing products. If you go see a shirt, the only customization you will get is basically in sizes. That also not they're not necessarily customizations because you already have it. They won't cater to your extra needs basically. So I feel like there was no market that produced Western clothing from scratch or that even allowed or enabled such a creative skill to be employed in their very business. So that's why I chose being an entrepreneur over an employee, apart from the other factors like again feasibility of being able to work and make such good money while being a student. So the methods I use to evaluate the feasibility of my ideas is that because we got lucky with the fact that because we function strictly online, we have no fixed cost to incur. So there was no burden of making a certain amount of money in a given amount of time period on a regular basis. So once we did our market research, we basically did our budgeting, we made a plan, and we ran it. And then if it was successful, we stick with it. Otherwise, we would make changes as we go with it. I do run the business with a partner, Hareem. Again, it's written in the name Freya by Manahil and Hareem. So yes, I do have one partner. As far as my working hour goes, again, as a full-time student, honestly varies, but I do think a minimum 4 to 5 hours per day is necessary to be able to run a successful business. But other than that, it can sometimes go up to 10 to 12 hours per day. I've even worked 14 to 16 hours per day for the like times we've put up sales and we've taken like a bunch of orders. So you do have to work 12 to 14 hours a day. Not all the time, but on certain days you do. And we do not have an external network as far as the financing goes. So we basically use money from my previous job. Like I worked as a content creator, so I made roughly 40 to 50,000 a month. My partner also had a source of income. So we basically just pulled in money from our previous jobs, and we bootstrapped a business. So there was no external source of income that we used. We basically used what we earned previously, invested into the business. And it took us, I would say, a month and a half to break even. So as far as my target market goes, we basically cater to females age 15 plus, but for a category it will be 15 to 35. Our value proposition would comprise basically of the fact that we provide customized Western clothing, or basically customized Western clothing of international standard or of clothes that are imported. And not only do we provide customization to existing products that we produce, but we also provide completely new customized products if our customer wants it. So, and we function strictly online, so our channel is basically strictly online. So the key revenue and cost structures, like I said, we bootstrapped our business, so there was no external source of income. We did use referral and convenience, meaning that we once we had like a resource, in our case, for instance, the worker, the tailor, so they kept referring us to different people until we found a person that worked for us best and provided the least possible cost and gave the best output. So that's how we used that. And apart from that, we basically initially we put up like 60%. What we earned, we put 60% into stock, 20% to packaging. We did invest a lot in packaging as well, because from what we've learned, it does have a very big impact on the way the consumers perceive your brand in its entirety. So it does have like a first impression kind of thing. So we did invest and do a lot of research in packaging, and the rest of the money we kept as a safety net, because running a business does come with certain losses and minor inconveniences that you do need to cater to. So I feel like you should always have like some sort of amount set aside for that. And apart from that, we use a declining method, again 100% of the sales into stock, and then we kept on reducing it gradually as we started making more of it. Other resources we basically include because we make the clothing from scratch, it would include sourcing the raw material, the fabric in our cases, to stitching it, to packaging it, and then to selling it. Each step is a lot more complicated than it seems, and it involves a lot more people. Like for example, delivering it, you have to have an account with the couriers or riders if it's within the city. Otherwise, couriers. Even for packaging, you need to have different vendors, because our packaging comprises of different components. It's very intense, so we need to have like different vendors providing all the materials. For stitching, we need to have like backup tailors if something happens, and we also take urgent orders, so for that we have different tailors than for regular orders. And fabric also, we keep a lot in stock, so we need to like manage that investment accordingly as well. So the particular risks and challenges that I have faced over the years, because we started March of 2020, the idea was March of 2020, and implementing it took roughly about 3 to 4 months. So basically our business plan came into fruition summer of 2020, and that time was peak COVID time, so it was a great time to start an online business. And at that time there was no online business catering specifically to Western clothing. So we were the first in the business. So it gave us a great edge, and our demand, we had like crazy demand. It was going really well in pre-COVID times again, because there was a lockdown. People could not go out, or they would not prefer going out. So online was the only way to shop. Now that things are back to normal, we did see gradually, when things went back to normal, we did see a decline in our sales, but then we had to work to like better. Than the way that we did that is we started putting up exhibitions in various locations, so, or exhibitions or racks. So we basically like rented a rack in like certain malls or certain locations to have our clothes presented in person. So that is one way that we've overcome this. And other problem would include, for instance, disagreement with partners. And because we're two people running the business, each individual has their own ideas and the way they want to run the business and the way they want to do the things, like proceed the entire strategy. So just coming up to a compromise and being able to work with someone else and cater to both of your needs is something that you need to learn. And apart from that, I think working full time, having a business as a student, is also something that has taught me a time management skill, which I feel is very crucial, and like a good work life balance. The earlier I've gotten this experience, it's been the better, because the more I learn as I go. So, as far as the future of Freya goes, I think that because, like I mentioned before, we started at a time where COVID was at its peak, and so like the online market was booming at its best, and now that things are going back to normal, people do prefer shopping in person, primarily because of the nature of the product. Like for clothes, for instance, people do inquire about the quality of the fabric or sizing issues, or they want to know the entire design, because there's obviously a difference between and you can't fully gauge how a product will be just by looking at it online. So we've started entering like the market in like a physical manner by exhibiting clothing items in different places. But I do feel like after we graduate, or maybe 3-4 years down the line, we will either rent out a place or a portion where we're able to display our products. So that's one thing that we plan to do. Other than that, we also plan to hire people full time, because right now our suppliers, like the cloth supplier or the tailor, they work at a piece rate pay. So, which I think if we do hire people, we're gonna obviously hire more people for packaging, more tailors. It will save us a lot of time, and we will have them available like all the time. And B, it will also allow us to make more, to keep like a higher profit margin and make more than we do right now. And apart from that, I think we also will work to introduce more like a variety of items. As of right now, we deal only with Western tops, but I feel like if we, no, I don't only feel like, but I like we've done a lot of market research, and we found out that people do prefer a lot of dresses during like the summertime and matching separates during the winter time. So I feel like introducing a wide variety of items will also help. So that's also one thing we plan to do down the road. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.